Balance boards, you see them everywhere, but do they actually help snowboarders? That's the question. Today we're going to find out. Tune in. My name is Mark. I am a doctor of physical therapy and snowboard instructor at Mount Bachelor. I am one half of Mobility Duo with my wife, who is a licensed massage therapist, yoga instructor, personal trainer, high school health teacher, all that great stuff. And we combine our skills and knowledge for snowboarders because we absolutely love it. We love to educate and we want to keep you riding until you are 70+ years old. Today's video is also sponsored by LMNT. We love it. We don't take many supplements, but we stand by LMNT. Try it out. Free sample pack. If you do have to buy a box, but it's worth it, we promise. So today I'm gonna dive into 5 of my favorite strength-based movements for snowboarders utilizing a balance board. And we're gonna talk about what a balance board is. Can it really help out snowboarders or snow sport athletes at all, or is it just hype? Let's do this. So we have collected a few balance boards over the years. This is a whirly board, pretty awesome. I also have a Huku behind me. We've got some Bosu, we've got a Mobo. There's so many out there. But the question is, one, what are balance boards? And what are they actually doing? So to answer your first question, what is a balance board? Balance, it's in the name, it's a board, that's it. Just kidding. Balance boards really are testing a few systems in our body, one being the balance, so part of that VOR system, that proprioception specifically. We could argue to say, turning our heads, we incorporate that VOR, utilizing our eyes more than likely to incorporate that balance overall. So it's really testing the systems in general. Are all balance boards created equal? The answer to that is basically yes. So there's a lot of marketing that goes involved into creating a balance board. That may be through the design, the quality of materials, the marketing side of it, doesn't matter. The answer though is they're all basically doing the same thing, is just testing our balance. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one you get because they're all basically the same. If it were me, I would look for one that I can incorporate in a day-to-day routine and one that's going to last the longest. I actually made a video a long time ago on how to make your very own balance board out of PVC pipe and an unused skateboard deck. And in the past, we've worked with several balance board companies. All are fantastic. At the end of the day, find the one that fits into your lifestyle best, even if it's an Amazon special or if it's the most premium, premier balance board available. Now the question is, there are many claims out there that balance boards will significantly improve your snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, balancing overall. And the answer I would have for you is, sort of. You see, because we can't look at balance boards as directly translating onto a snowboard, it's very different. In general, when someone asks this question, I would then return the question with a question being, what is your overall goal? If your overall goal is to improve at a snowboard by using a balance board off the mountain, it's probably not going to help that much. If, on the other hand, your goal is to increase the challenge, the difficulty of the movement so you can test the systems overall to improve your endurance, strength, balance, all of the above, that may or may not translate well onto the mountain? And the answer is yes. You see, because it's very difficult to prove whether a balance board off the mountain directly translates to snowboarding on the mountain. What we can say though is it will increase the difficulty of the movement because it is requiring more of our internal system. But I would always revert back to, if you can complete a movement easily and there's no other way to make it more challenging, a balance board is a fantastic way to add an additional challenge to that. For those of you who are in season or just getting ready to start your season, we have created many different programs for you to enjoy based on your feedback. I promise they will help. Check them out and yeah, make this season the best one yet. So on that note, let's dive into my 5 favorite snowboard specific balance board workouts that you can try at home. Okay, so we have the exercises. I chose 5. I tried to choose the most non-generic movements. It's pretty obvious what you can do with these in regards to a squat, a push-up, a balance, things like that. So I tried to mix it up. gonna explain how to do it, why, how it applies to snowboarding, and potentially also provide some alternatives if this is too challenging, maybe not challenging enough. So, first one, I had an idea. I wanted to do a pal-off press, but if you've ever tried a pal-off press on a balance board, it's impossible because it pulls you towards the anchor point. So I came up with something better. Essentially, I love pull downs, and I love pull downs with bands because of that elastic tension and force that pulls you back. Now, we have the balance board. What should I name this one? I'm gonna call this balance pulls. We have the balance board, so we're gonna be stuck in the isometric squat. Obviously, when we're stuck in the isometric squat, we are contracting the lower extremities, glutes, quads, hamstrings, all that great stuff, as you would on a snowboard when you're in that nice dynamic position. All right, so I'm gonna move this a little bit. In regards to the board that you are using, doesn't matter. Today I'm using Hookah. We've worked with them in the past. They're great, based out of Ireland. Very good quality. So that's the board I'm using today. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, so we get in that nice balance board stance. Find that center of gravity, that center of mass, whatever you want to call it, where you're balanced. This band is actually going to help to a degree. Drop into it as deep of a squat as you want. Core contracted, eyes forward. Bring those hands down by your pockets and release back. Make this harder by grabbing closer to the anchor point, adding more tension. All right, so what's going on here? Obviously our lats are firing like you would if you're cross-country skiing, but we're not skiing, we're snowboarding. My core is also having to get involved. Every time I pull that down, I can relax, breathe, don't hold your breath. If I want to make this harder, drop down a little bit deeper. That's much harder. And then back. Good. So I can hold this for multiple repetitions. I can do one rep at a time. Gotta catch my breath. I can increase the intensity if I want. If you want to get crazy, try 1 foot. I'm not gonna do that. You can try a thicker band to make this even more challenging. I have to make sure to demonstrate it so I don't look like a kook. But yeah, overall, it's a full body movement. It's really core, lower extremity intensive, but it's fun to implement. Give it a try. If you are enjoying this, please like and subscribe. It very much helps us out and we very, very much appreciate it. And it gives us motivation to continue putting out great content like this. So thank you very much. Okay, number 2. We have fore and aft pressure change. Okay, so obviously just like it sounds, fore and aft, nose and tail. Working on that frontal plane pressure. Let's say this is great for butters, things like that where you need to really amplify that pressure from your nose or tail press, whatever you're trying to do. I'm adding in a weight, you don't have to do that, but essentially you're gonna get on your board, make sure that's even. You're gonna find that center and you're almost doing a side lunge, finding that extreme point, try not to tap, and then finding that extreme point, holding it as long as you want. I'm gonna switch hands with that kettlebell. You don't have to use a kettlebell. Good. It's harder with weight, but it also makes it more challenging. So it's multitasking, balance, coordination. You notice how my eyes are doing a lot of that work with this. Okay, and yeah. So again, you can do this without weight, you can do it with weight, but I like to add this component. Just makes it a little bit more challenging. Use without weight if you want to make this easier. Use with heavier weight if you want to make this harder. Okay, next one, single leg eccentric step downs with weight. Now, this is really common in the rehab world, especially for those who have knee rehabilitation exercises, hip, ankle, anything like that you're rehabbing from, basically the entire lower extremity. Let's just call it that. In this case, we are using a balance board. Okay, so if you can use this without holding onto something, you're a machine. I'm very proud of you. But for me, it's a little sketchy. So I have something I'm gonna hold on to. For many of you, I would assume that's the same. Okay, so I can find that balance. I can touch it and hold it here if I want. The idea now is tapping that other opposite ankle, driving back up to standing. Now I can put 2 fingers on here. I add that added weight on one side to make this, add some resistance so we can create a little bit more muscle hypertrophy, make it more challenging. But as you can see, my ankle is doing a lot of work to try to maintain that balance point. It's great for those who are rehabbing, those who want to add an additional challenge, balance component to their strengthening movement. But overall, we add the weight in, again, to add that resistance, get our core involved a little bit more. Eventually, I'll do one finger, and then eventually I'll try without. This one will take practice for those who are uneasy with it. Don't use the weight. Hold on to something, use the wall next to you. For those who don't, try it without anything. Totally up to you. Do it. Okay, next one, number 4, we have upper body. So upper extremities, most commonly injured muscle groups in the body: wrist, elbow, shoulder, clavicle. So why not incorporate something with it? So the most obvious thing here would be a two-handed plank, which is what we're gonna do. We're also gonna change that pressure side to side, and I'm gonna show you a side plank version of that as well, okay? So the idea here, the major difference is I wanna incorporate scapular push-up, okay? So scapula is in the back. It's part of the shoulder, part of the shoulder itself. But essentially what we're doing is we're doing serratus pushes. Serratus also attaches to the scapula on the side, and I'll show you what that looks like. So close hands, all right? Close hands, we find that balance. We allow that center, so our center of the back to drop, push that away, rounding out, protracting our scapula, retracting, squeezing our shoulder blades together, pushing the floor away, just like so. Want to make this easier, try it on your knees, make this harder, try it on one foot. All right, you might need to adjust a little bit. Same thing, protract, keep that core involved, retract, just like that. All right, so really heavy major core involvement, especially when you lift that one foot up. We're getting the shoulder, the capsule involved. We're getting the stability with the shoulder component as well. The other thing you can do here is you can do a side plank. So of course, be careful with this. Oh, I'm gonna use 2 feet, like so. Widen my stance. I can hold this. I can add a little dynamic movement. But again, I feel that oblique firing. Want to make this harder, bring those feet together, maybe even bring one foot up. Do it. Okay, number 5, we have tall nail presses, all right? So I'm gonna use a pad with this one just because this thing hurts my knees if I don't have one, so I find that center. This one is challenging. So if you find that you can't balance, I have my toes, so I can bring my toes down like so. If I need, that's equally as challenging. If I want to make this more challenging, actually use the balance component with this, okay? So I find, let me get this going here. Find my center, like so. All right, balancing, you keeping that core involved, pressing out, bringing back in, pressing above, bringing back down, out, and above. All right, can be done with a dumbbell as well. That is the gist of it. So core, shoulders, coordination, there's a lot going on here. All right, again, you wanna make this harder, don't use your feet. You wanna make this easier, just put your toes down, put a platform behind you if your toes don't reach. That's it. That is that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you do have a balance board, you can try incorporating these movements. They will help, not necessarily in translating 100% to snowboarding, but strength, endurance, aerobic, all that great stuff that will translate well onto the mountain. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.